All right, we're back.
To where? To the future.
Yeah, I wish.
Okay.
Sometimes, yeah, if I could predict the future. Actually.
You can. Sorry, I'm not.
No.
not
Kady, you're supposed to wait your turn.
Okay.
Now we're going to talk about Kady behind her back.
Okay, in front of her face.
In front of her face. You know, if we want to talk about being back to the future, I think Kady might be able to predict something for us. I feel like she has to live in the future. Do you know anything about what she does, Arash?
I mean, if I told you no, I would look like a very bad host
I know.
of our podcast. So I know a few things.
Okay.
Yes.
What are you excited to talk to Kady about today?
So these may be the wrong words, but I do.
She'll correct you.
I know. I've been corrected by her 5 times already. But the idea of revitalization,
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's an old school word now. So I'd be curious to see what she thinks about revitalization. What I'm thinking about is the little pollinators that come in to revitalize a place. And then what happens when it starts getting gentrified? And is that still, to her, a negative thing? Or should we even consider it a negative thing? Because I know in my heart I do,
Right.
even though I reap the spoils of Starbucks coffees often.
Starbucks. I know.
But who is she?
Who is she? Okay, so we are going to talk to Kady Yellow today. And she is the Vice President of Placemaking for Downtown Vision. I'm really excited because, one, that's a really cool job title. And I think what she does is pretty inspirational. But I also suspect it probably takes a bit of an emotional toll. So you know me, I like to dig a little bit. And I really
Do you think
want...
you can pull some tears?
I don't know. I don't want to place any money on it, but I will probably cry. Yes.
Okay. Start taking bets on that.
I know.
Yeah.
Will
Right.
Jen shed a tear? I really want people to understand what placemaking is, and I actually want people to realize how much they could impact our city if they just paid a little bit more attention and learned just a little bit more. I think everything is a bit more tangible than everybody realizes. So Kady, I think, can bring that to light today.
Perfect.
You want to talk to her?
I think I have no choice, but I'm happy to. I'm excited to.
Hi, Kady.
Hi guys.
Hey, how
Good
are you?
afternoon. Amazing, thriving.
Good.
You don't hear that very often.
People need to say it and declare it.
It's true because you manifest.
Correct. It's really that simple.
And is that why you don't swear in public, Kady?
Already. He's starting already.
We can move on.
Did I not prepare you enough for Arash?
You didn't. Can we pause for a second and just do a little reconvening and strategizing around this? No, it's good. I'm excited to chat with you guys and demystify some of the language and perception issues around what's happening in Jacksonville, Florida.
Let's take a step back.
Yeah.
So you were the Vice President of Placemaking for Downtown Vision. If I didn't do research, if I didn't look it up, I really wouldn't know what that meant. Like in a nutshell, or a bigger box, what would you describe your job as?
That's really fair, and I think you could ask the same question to a dentist, right? If we didn't understand what that title meant, how would a dentist describe what
That's
they
true.
do?
I've never visited a placemaker.
That's fair, but we can definitely solve your problems.
Please do.
And I think far too often I'm asked to abridge what we do briefly, and it's just really complicated. So I will do my best.
Okay.
And I always struggle through this question.
Okay.
So my day-to-day is heavy admin, heavy field work. It is not a 9-to-5 position. So if you're hearing this word and you're like, I already do that, I run a community garden, or I help paint the facades of storefronts nearby and I want to do that for a living, don't go into this field if you want a traditional 9-to-5. So it's heavy paperwork and then heavy field work. And by field work, I mean I'm outside, in public space, working with people, intervening or interacting a lot with people. And people are complicated and cannot be boxed in. And so it's a lot of work. Vice President of Placemaking is a position that you see now. You didn't see it 15, 20 years ago when I got started. These positions really just professionalized, And they've had a really beautiful journey the past 10 years going from City Hall, which is not where it works because cities are anti-risk and we are fail forward, to arts councils, which also didn't really work because we were put in a box as a lagniappe instead of a must-have. And now we're being put in business improvement districts around the nation, which is a perfect home for placemakers. Because if you look at the strategy and mission of a business improvement district, you're placemaking. So the whole field has blown up post-COVID, and now you see what's called place management organizations investing heavily in what they've always been doing, which is placemaking. So my day-to-day is heavy admin and field work, and then year after year, I like to push the envelope globally for the field. I like to innovate through the lens of Jacksonville, Florida now, and improve the best practices of this work because it is so new. We kind of misunderstood what harm could be caused if you're negligent or unintentional with the work. So that's the short version.
Okay.
Doesn't make
Okay.
any sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
But is your job about identifying what's not good geographically and saying there's opportunity here?
Yes, but we don't even have to identify that. We can walk a street and everyone will have the same answer on what needs love, right? Or beautification.
Yeah.
I think that since the field it's not new, but it's professionalizing and coagulating, you see different practices. So when I interviewed for Jacksonville, I was like, please Google me, make sure you like my style, because I don't want to get here and not be able to implement the people process. A lot of my colleagues spend their careers widening sidewalks as a placemaking approach, building parks. That's not the type that I do. I work with the people that are going to ultimately inhabit that space. That's my style.
Is it fair to say placemaking, at least for here, what you bring to Downtown Vision is you want to ensure that the community is heard, they get what they want and they need in the area that they want and need it.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that sometimes can be in direct conflict with developers
I would imagine
and
so.
economists and city officials. And so I just translate between those two groups.
Oh, that would be exhausting.
It's rewarding. Someone's got to do it.
Yes. Well, thank you. But you have to maneuver. You have to consistently and constantly probably negotiate
Exactly. And train both sides.
and train both sides.
Yes.
Yeah. Because they're all going to be speaking a different language, most likely past each other.
Yes, even though we're all speaking English.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But ultimately, there's a main vision here behind all of this.
A better city. So I always,
People actually want to be in.
correct. Sometimes I use analogies of family units or relationships because everyone knows that in their own regards. So I know placemaking, the lexicon can sometimes distracting or create a barrier. And I really want people to understand this work.
Yeah, I can understand that. But how did you get into this? You don't grow up
No.
saying, I'm going to be a placemaker.
No. You can now today.
You can now
Because
today.
there's degree programs in it and the word is ubiquitous and you can say that now.
The road has been paved already. You came from an unpaved road.
It was unpaved.
Which I think is fitting. You're paving the roads.
You've helped pave the roads for sure.
It's poetic and literal.
Yeah.
I suspect this was not an easy road to travel.
No, but I prefer the path of most resistance.
You learn the most, right?
Correct.
How'd you get started?
It's a long story. I did do a TED Talk that speaks in depth about how I got started, and I'll try to summarize it again. There were just some key moments. So I always cared about the outdoors. That's where I've spent a lot of time. And I noticed as a teenager in observation that prettier places made for prettier minds. If things are ugly and blighted, mentality tends to be ugly and blighted. It's the same thing as like, how are you doing? I'm doing great. That makes you already do great. And so I've had really great mentors over the years, as one does who is successful. and a textbook by Richard Florida called The Creative Class was handed to me just based on conversations and my interest in wanting to improve my hometown, which is in upstate New York, small city called Binghamton. And I learned in that book, and this one piece is what got me into the whole field, that if you paint your crosswalks green, the psychology of the residents improves. And I just knew that the psychology of the residents was down, and we had white crosswalks. So I was like, aha, it's color. And I had studied color theory in high school, so I just kind of connected all these dots. And I knew my purpose at that point was to paint cities.
That's awesome.
And that's what got me into the field was mural programs. And I guess the rest is history after that.
So you are an actual painter yourself. You're an artist.
I am. I painted my way through undergrad
Oh, wow.
Oh,
and helped
that's
others
awesome.
earn a living off it as well.
Do you
And
do murals as well?
I did.
Okay.
I don't make any art anymore. I just manage it.
How does that make you feel?
Amazing. Great. We need more managers than artists.
What's your creative outlet now, though? Or is this in itself, there's a lot of creativity in how you have to execute. So
Exactly. I was trying to articulate this in preparing for this podcast. Like, if you had a blank canvas and you were picking out the colors of paint to make the piece, that's kind of how I feel with this strategy behind different partnerships and people I work with. I know who needs to be in the room and who doesn't need to be in rooms at different times, and I move all the pieces around, and it's very creative.
yeah.
So
And that
that's
comes
how I
with
do
a
it.
lot of satisfaction when you can put the puzzle together and you know you did it.
Yes.
Can I jump back to something about the
Yes.
crosswalks, the green
Yes.
crosswalks? So when you say that, the first thought that goes through my head is I imagine a bunch of old, stodgy men rolling their eyes as someone suggesting we need to make the crosswalks green. And I feel like people are maybe more open to that now.
Not the state of Florida. It's illegal here.
Yeah.
And it's a very unpopular opinion, but I'm anti paint on the ground. So even though I learned
Yeah.
that green crosswalk is what changed minds, I didn't go painting crosswalks. I went painting walls.
Right.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people that are against painting on the ground.
That's
Were you going to ask about resistance?
yeah, and I guess now I'm like stuck on the word painting on the ground. Do you
Yes.
just mean like murals on the ground, or do you mean crosswalks on the ground?
They call it asphalt art.
Okay.
Asphalt art.
And there is
Crosswalks,
an
murals.
active debate about this.
It's not a debate. It's illegal in the state of Florida.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was
Yeah,
recent.
okay.
Correct. They went around and buffed out.
Oh,
Yeah.
because that's
Covered.
and that was a response to, yes.
Rumor has it.
Rumor has it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Nice
I don't-
job, guys.
I'm sorry, I'm uncomfortable talking about it because I think people would be disgusted if they knew my perspective on it
Yeah.
or my opinion on it.
But then you do have to deal with resistance when, and I guess the resistance to making things, is this the wrong way of phrasing it? There seems to be a resistance to making places people-centric.
There is.
There is 100%, and this is my perception, not reality. So,
Why do-
Kady, you keep me honest on this, but I feel like I'm going to have a lot to say on this.
Are you going to answer my question?
It would be rude of me too,
Go ahead, Kady.
and I'm probably wrong, so we'll let Kady go.
So there's not wrong and right. There's best practices. We can study things and then we can discuss it and implement. Unlike science, where like there's wrong and right. Surgeries don't have creative options. They have to do exactly what they have to do. This is a global issue that I see prevalent in the United States and in Jacksonville. The people that are designing and building our public spaces are not the end user. They're not the person who's actually going to be in the park.
And you know what? I mean, we build products for a living. Could you imagine gathering requirements and hearing about a user journey from somebody who wasn't even going to be a user? Guaranteed going to be wrong and flawed.
Yeah.
So I'm in the point of my career where I'm trying to unpack that resistance piece because what I've learned in the 10 years plus of studying this, the people who are building the parks, it is like a 9-to-5 job. And the most efficient community engagement model is what I refer to as a 2 p.m. Tuesday meeting that no one can make. So it perpetuates a vicious cycle. So I don't know that I've done the groundwork yet to ask, I call it the higher ups, right? Those in power and with resources. Are you resistant to community engagement? Or are you resistant to the length it adds to a project timeline? Or what typically happens is they already have the plan, they're just checking a box. So that causes a lot of issues. Imagine if you ask your family where they want to go to eat and got them excited, but the whole time you're going to get pizza. So it's like, I just want to make you feel like you had a
happy about
say.
pizza, but
Well, yeah, okay. I just want to make you feel like you
I
had
do
a
that
say.
every Friday.
No, bad people.
I know we like pizza.
Okay.
Yeah, our last episode we talked all about pizza,
Yeah.
but
Am I articulating that well?
Yeah.
100%. And my question to you is: have you ever taken this step back, knowing your personality? And I know I don't know you well enough yet, but you're a very inquisitive person, and I think you have a way to ask the right questions to get the answers you need. Have you done a discovery approach with the higher ups? So at NLP, Arash and I get brought into a room with organizations who have very specific pain that they want to solve. And most of the time they like to tell us exactly what they want or the pathway they've already started down. And our job is not to smile and nod and say, you're geniuses. Our job is to...
Most of the time.
Our job is to ensure that they're solving the right problem. And that takes asking a lot of deep, thorough questions to ensure what they're doing is for the right reasons and it's actually going to meet what their ultimate goals are and what their end user goals are. So that's really a discovery process for us, is just getting in the room and asking questions, but making it about them and what they want to achieve. Curious if you've done that with this group, the higher ups, and what that's resulted in.
I've been preparing to do that.
That's exciting.
So there's an important fact that I don't normally spend this much time in a city. I've been dragged all over the world doing this
I
process.
thought so.
So I never had to think far down the road.
Yeah.
And I never entered a place like, I'm going to stay here a long time, the way I did with Jacksonville. I was like, I want to stay here a long time. And so I knew that moment, that meeting would need to happen, but I know I only have one shot at it.
Yeah.
So I've been preparing every single year to get in that room and have that conversation. And I'm 4.5 years into Jacksonville, and I'm the closest I've ever been, but it's probably still 3 months away.
Okay.
But it's really, but for me in a 5-year journey, that's really close.
Yeah, that's you're
Who
the
was
almost
the day?
finish line.
Who was the ominous
It
day
would
we're talking to
be
about?
Philanthropic sector, their
Okay.
leadership. It would be the municipality and its leadership. It would be private commercial developers and their leadership. And it would be leadership from the arts community.
You got a good representation there.
Yes. That's who would be in the room. And I have names, but I don't want to name them.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
You can tell us later. We'll send them an email.
It's probably obvious.
But why is that? I still don't understand why there's the resistance to making it people centric. Is it ignorance or is it efficiency?
Efficiency.
Because it feels like if you make it people centric, I always feel like things come down to money. You're going to make more money. You're going to make more people will come.
On the other side.
Yeah.
And it's often cheaper than what you were actually going to do. I always use the analogy of baking a cake. The best, most delicious cake is to get a baker whose expertise is baking, who produces the product for you. The worst approach, but the best end result from the people, is to let everyone crack an egg, mix the bowl, contribute. So it's like having 20 bakers in a kitchen, but everyone's so proud of the end product.
I think I just want the baker to make me a cake.
The problem, exact problem. So the approach I take is let everyone in the kitchen and we make a complete mess, but everyone feels attached to the process.
They own a little bit of it.
They own a
yeah.
little bit of it, and there's real science behind it. Like, you don't litter as much in your street anymore, or you show up to a city council meeting because you know you have vocation and a say in the process, and you can participate.
That's great.
Yeah.
Is there a feng shui to placemaking that you have to consider?
There's books on it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And I like I said, there's degree programs in this now. There's one at Pratt Institute in Brooklyn. I wish I could just go through it to see like how formally I'm following protocol. And I would like to see, how do you teach this process? Because I believe the only reason I'm successful is because I possess a skill set that came from my childhood. Growing up, using outdoor space a lot. Growing up with, I have 6 sisters, so I think that was a component. And learning early on that to be successful, at least that's what my mentor described to me, I had to be able to move across socioeconomic classes. And I took that assignment really seriously. And I use that skill every day now. So when you say feng shui, are you saying, is there like a craft and art,
Yeah, I guess
kind of positioning to it?
Are there principles of design that you have to either instinctively or
For the space itself
Yeah, for
that
the
you're
space itself.
activating.
to say that this speaks to how you're welcome here?
Got you. So I normally never anymore get involved with the actual building of places. I'm with the people who are going to end up using them. And the places that we're activating, because because of that resistance, we get like the crappy park everyone forgot about. But it's perfect for what we're doing. We don't get the shiny new parks typically. And by we, I mean my globally speaking moving around. When I was in Flint, Michigan, we had vacant lots and parking lots and made them into like magnets for foot traffic. In terms of principles of design, I'm saying that because I wouldn't apply it to space, because I'm never at the table when the park is being built, or the parks would be built different. We would have bathrooms and electricity and shade and water and amenities. We wouldn't just build pretty places. So one principle of the people process is the resident is the expert. You don't go in there as the nonprofit leader or the municipal employee who you really feel like you're the expert, but it's the resident. So the resident has to lead the whole time. And when I teach on this topic, it's more listening than talking. And no matter what the resident says, it goes. So if they say,
interesting.
yeah, and sometimes they're a little bit off, but you don't correct them in the meeting. You work with them over time
Okay.
to help educate and build capacity.
I know. Do you have an off the top example of what you mean? Of like a community member giving you an idea or what they want, and you're thinking to yourself,
It's never going to work.
that is bad feng shui, sir.
I mean, it's interesting. I never think that's not going to work, because I truly feel there's no problem a group of artists can't solve.
Yeah, I agree.
And to me, not working is probably based on faulty assumptions or assumptions that can shift. So
That's fair.
I studied math. I'm like, there's always a solution, and that perpetuates through all that I do. But a time when a resident wanted something that I knew wouldn't work per se, it's simple. We activate vacant storefronts and we transform them until that they can be leased long term. And I know when the artist comes in that their hopes and dreams to start the nation's best art center is absolutely not going to happen because of bottom line discussions.
Yeah.
And because of displacement. And because
What does that mean? Displacement.
I know that the micro grant I'm giving for you to express yourself in this space and bring energy until there's a long-term tenant, you're not running a business
Right.
that you need to then be a long-term tenant. So I know that it's right out the gate has an expiration date.
Right.
And that used to make me very uncomfortable because artists get put in this really vicious cycle. And what I've decided over the years is it had me deepen how I manage expectations. Because I used to be like, we're going to start the world's next best art center together. I don't do that anymore. I say we got this for 90 days. And you can be okay with that. And we can rock for 90 days. Or we can go sit back down and do nothing for 90 days. And everyone always wants to work for 90 days.
Forgive me, but it sounds like mom mode. That's when you're talking to the artist. That's what my wife sounds like to my kids. You have
that a
10
lot.
minutes at this playground, and then we're leaving.
I have no kids, but I actually have 600 of them. Yeah. I'm mama bear for sure.
Got you.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
Now, There's an aspect we haven't touched on here that I think plays into some of the challenges with this, since we're talking about people. I think perception of the area also creates its own challenges. And I'm sure we have in Jacksonville, and I'm sure you've been here long enough, you've got the people who live at the beach and they don't like to cross the ditch. I'm a beach person, but I like to cross the ditch because I think some of our best mom and pop restaurants are definitely not at the beach. And I happen to think there is, well, actually,
Othello, Josephine.
I've got to go to Othello's.
I love to get tacos from Pepe's Hacienda. Oh my God.
I introduced you to Pepe's.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The other place you introduced me to, Pepelinos.
Pepelinos.
Yeah.
Persepolis?
Same thing.
No, there's a Pepelinos is
Pepelinos.
nearby. I think it's close. Persepolis is also close.
I don't know Pepelinos.
I think it's right next door. It's close by
There's
St.
Pepe's
Augustine.
Hacienda,
Yeah,
Persepolis.
Persepolis.
I don't know the other one. I can't wait to look it up.
I know.
It better be real.
Me too. It better be. Maybe I'm thinking of Persepolis.
Anyway, crossing the ditch.
Anyway, I do think we have better food and more interesting things to just look at on foot. I love walking through Avondale. I love walking through Riverside. I like walking. I lived in New York City for 5 years and I had no money because I lived in New York City. So one of the best things to do was just walk out of the apartment and walk. And maybe flip a coin to figure out which subway stop I would get off of and go and explore that area and see what was there. Wander into a local coffee shop, not a Starbucks, Arash. And there was always something happening, and there was something happening in a park. There were always vendors and artists there. The spray paint artists are incredible, and you can just sit and stand and watch and observe and just be with community.
Yeah.
And that didn't cost any money. And it was a culture shock coming to Jacksonville. But you hear the rumblings and the outward declaration of, oh, it's not safe over there. So I feel like people don't venture to Springfield and eat pizza, speaking of pizza, at Crispy's. I love their pizza, by the way. It's quite delicious. Because they think it's not a good area or not a safe area.
So how does that lead to placemaking? So you've got perception issues you have to deal with?
Yes.
Okay.
Safety
Okay.
and the unhoused. And that is, I think it's interesting because that is how placemaking got started in the 60s by two urbanists, Jane Jacobs and William White. They each wrote a book, The Death and Life of Great American Cities.
Can I see if I have my trivia correct? Jane Jacobs is the reason we have Central Park in New York City? Or am I thinking of someone else?
No, you are. Washington
Okay.
Square Park.
Okay.
That ultimately led to parks,
Okay.
like the park system.
Okay. Okay.
And her buddy, Bill White, who wrote The Social Life of Small Urban Spaces. And they early on saw that we had to just completely shift urbanism and planning for cities. So when the higher-ups there would go into parks, they would focus on the strategy being around removing the unhoused. And they simply recommended that if you brought other people into the space, so if you had 10 grand and you spent all that money trying to remove the unhoused, if you had 10 grand, you spent that money trying to get other people to the space, that second option's a lot better. And that blew up. Mm-hmm. And so I think it relates to downtown Jacksonville because there is a perception issue that it's unsafe, that is objectively and statistically not true. But that's not how we talk in the streets.
Right.
Right? Did you look at the data?
It's how you feel.
It's how you feel.
Yeah.
And so the other issue is that you can't go to Alice Beach on the Panhandle, beautiful beaches in Florida, and then come back to Jack's Beach and be like, it's not Alice Beach. Like the water is not clear. You can't go to other cities and bring that mentality back to Jacksonville or that blueprint. Huh. Does that make sense?
It does.
Like I hear all the time, because I'm from New York and
Yeah.
I want Jacksonville to be like New York. Then you should probably go back to New York. Or it's more that New York is not a developing city. It's a finished product that's growing. We are a developing city. So you have to remember that. And you can, and the most important thing is to fall back in love with it because it has changed drastically in the past 5 years since I've been here. And two, to contribute to its transformation. That's what I urge people to do. And so whenever the conversation comes up, I get very easily irritated because I've been in places that are actually dangerous, and that's in all due respect. And Jacksonville is not a dangerous, like downtown Jacksonville is not a dangerous place. And then I've been to cities, and so have you, the royal you, and unhoused is a problem.
Yeah.
If you compare us to places like Nashville or the West Coast, we don't have that same problem.
Right.
So I think that's how it relates.
I'm curious. We're pivoting slightly, but let's make people fall back in love with Jacksonville. So, 5 years, top 5 reasons why. So name your 5 favorite things about Jacksonville, if you can. It can be 3 if you can't get there, that you feel like people are unaware of. They must know about it. They should attend it, or they should eat there, or it's unique. No other city has it. But let's educate.
Okay.
I know I'm putting you on the spot.
It's not horrible. I just have 30 things. I don't know which 5 to focus on.
Oh,
Okay.
that's
You
exciting.
can go to 30. Start. Number 30. Are we doing countdown or count up?
Count up.
Okay.
It reminds me of how and why I got to Jacksonville. So when I was ready to put roots down, I looked back on all the places I got to live, and I made a checklist of what I wanted in a forever city. And I think that checklist encompasses a lot of things that I absolutely love about this place that other people can fall in love with. The issue is I'm coming from the perspective of a transplant. So one of the top reasons to love Jacksonville, and we're right on the cusp of this not being the case, but it's affordability. Mm-hmm. Other cities I've lived in, I would not be on a path to own a home. And in Jacksonville, you can, in fact, be on a path to own a home. So is that important to people who don't want to cross the ditch, who own a home in the beach? Probably not. But maybe if their son or daughter ever wants to return to Jacksonville, that might be important. So the housing option. I did get here at the top of the crisis, and it's only going to get worse as affordability becomes more of an issue. You're going to see more unhoused and more housing crisis. But I'm supposed to be talking positive.
You've taken it the other direction.
I am an outdoors person. I've said that a bunch of times, and we are rich in our landscape in Jacksonville and the proximal states. Across the state with our springs and our parks, serious amenities, and then right here in Jacksonville with our riverfront parks and the many little pocket parks around the city. There's just always beautiful places to sit and take the city in.
Can we stick to the river for a second? Because I've always been amazed how little I interact with the river and how little access I actually have to it.
Because it was very limited up until currently.
And is there, do you know of any plans coming about how we're going to create more access to the river, or are we sort of locked into what we have?
Does access to you mean somewhere you can sit and have a drink and look at it, or you mean walking easily up to it?
Yeah, I'm thinking of Chicago, and I'm thinking of how you have these ability. Yeah, you can just walk along the river for miles.
Yes, so you can do that today, which has changed in the past 2 years. So when I got here, the plans were released. We're going to be like every other city in the nation that has this amenity, and we're going to focus. And about a year or two in, everything shut down to go under construction. Everything is now open. You can walk from River's Edge, the brand new beautiful park, linear park, all the way through the South Bank, all the way over to where Mosh used to be. That entire footpath is open. Same thing on the North Bank. You can walk from where the Four Seasons is being built all the way through the North Bank, past the USS Orlick, past the Hyatt Hotel, down into the new Riverfront Plaza, all the way over to Corkscrew Park. Keep going. Ram under the bridge, the new Artist Walk Skate Park, the Fuller Warren footpath. You can turn around and keep going all the way to Memorial Park. It is all completely open, but that is only the case as of a week ago.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've been
Like, it literally
dying
just
to.
happened. And I was out of town, so I'm like, I still have to go down and walk this.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I have thoroughly enjoyed, I love walking the Main Street Bridge.
Same.
I absolutely adore it. And then going along the riverfront all the way to Ram, being able to enjoy picking up some produce on a Saturday morning, or go in and have breakfast on the walk back. There's a couple of little mom and pop places that are open. They do some solid omelets and hash browns. Or there's always Southern Grill. Love that place as well
Yes, I
for a
do
good
too.
breakfast. But yeah, there's a lot that you can walk now. And I've been so excited for that construction to be done. So it's done, finally.
Yes.
And no one, I feel like, knows about it. Why? Where's it being advertised? Maybe that's the better question.
I don't think it's a lack of information sharing.
Okay.
I think, I don't know how to word this, but if you're like, so I'm not on social media like Facebook and Instagram. If you're just like doom scrolling or whatever they call it, and you're being inundated with info, if they say the river walk is open, are you processing what that means?
No, probably not.
Do you understand like what I just said? That you can walk from all, this whole entire thing is open like Chicago. The dream you want is in your backyard right now. I don't think people are processing it. So that could be one barrier. And then when I first got here, there was a lot of fatigue around like empty promises, essentially.
Yeah.
People called it Renderville. And I had to educate early on like what an RFQ versus a groundbreaking is. And don't get excited at RFQ.
Yeah.
That's where you get potential concepts in a space.
Right.
You're talking 2 years at least, but through negotiations and groundbreaking, pay attention to when cranes go up.
Yeah.
And then you won't be so fatigued. And so I think there might be some disbelief. If people who are going through all of that are consuming it, they may not believe it or go so far as to just get in their car and drive down there. Because the get in your car and drive down there is going to be, the impediment's going to be, I can't find parking.
That's not true.
not-
Parking is never a problem.
But we don't have data conversation. Right?
That's true.
There are 2 spots per every person, and you just can't actually drive your car onto the park and park in it, which is true.
Which is what we want in
I know.
Jacksonville.
That's what you want.
You know what?
Arash.
My favorite wasn't our tagline, our official tagline to attract city folk into Jacksonville was
Less
"It's easier
traffic.
here." It's easier here,
I saw old brochures when I first moved here. I was like, don't tell people that.
and I do love how transplants to Jacksonville, they do seem to love the city more than people who are natives. I feel like that's.
Oh, you
my
think?
Oh yeah, absolutely,
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
absolutely.
Because we've lived in actual places with no parking. That's
Yes.
$20. And we've lived in actual places with
Yeah.
no riverfront.
I had to take a train to get to my car.
That's hilarious. It's just really strange. But I never want to offend the local native. And so the getting in your car and going down to see these literally brand new amenities is either the perception of no parking or safety. So it's like a pretty simple but complicated problem.
Who?
Well, now I can't remember. I
You.
feel like I had a
Oh,
question
she
for
picked.
you.
Oh, for me? Sorry,
No, I've
Kady, one
already
second.
forgot. No
problem.
Interview me, Jen.
Nope, I forgot. Or lost interest.
That's typical.
But we were talking about, I know, I remember. I'm getting old, guys. I know what you're doing this weekend. Are you in town? Are you doing a
Yes.
staycation for Memorial Day weekend? Did you guys know?
it's
We're coming up on Memorial Day weekend. I know we're going to
You know,
release this.
My friend was supposed to visit, and he bailed on me.
Oh, well, now you can take your family for a nice, long
That's great.
walk.
We'll do that. We'll
I
bring
guess what's really
band-aids.
cool about that walk, there is a world-class jazz fest happening all weekend on that river.
Oh yeah.
So you're going to
Okay.
be really
That's great.
transformed. We never got to my 5 favorite things, but we can skip it.
Yes, no, we need to come back. I was going to bring us back to that.
Were you?
Yeah. Because I wanted to
let's
know
just
if
take-
the
let's just
walk
take
was
note.
part of
I just want to
your
take it out.
favorite
Kady is
things.
keeping our interview on track. Thank you, Kady. Number 3.
It's because I didn't get a chance.
I think you got 2.
So you said in the introductory part that the word revitalization might be antiquated, and you also use the big bad word of gentrification.
Yeah.
Yes. And then I want to relate that to Wynwood in Miami.
Oh boy. Okay.
Okay.
So what I also love about Jacksonville, but it's not necessarily like decorative or popular like you would run here to visit it, is you can get involved and make a difference in different places that are not developing. That can be really difficult. And I find, I'm a millennial, and I find millennials really want to change the world. And Jacksonville is a place you can change the world in. And so I think it's really exciting to just start going to neighborhood development association meetings or your city council meetings to get involved and help start to shape it. There's room at the table, and that's normally it's really hard to get to your mayor. It's not really hard to get to your mayor. And then also, revitalization is an old word. There's bad words now in urban planning like blight and revitalization because they were tied to really poor urban planning practices that were codified and that we're stuck with now, and cities around the nation are trying to dismantle and repurpose, if you will. And it was also during a time where urban planning benefited a select few.
Yep.
And we're seeing the impact of that today, right here in Jacksonville and around the country.
So when someone says revitalization, that is that word is frowned upon.
I mean, I stare at it all the time and grapple with it. So for me, it's frowned upon because I think it was during a time that was associated with throwing up murals and making things look and feel pretty without thinking about the people. And that their case studies, if you look at them, went really bad. They may appear to be going well, but displacement's ugly. Like if you...
I mean, a mural didn't lead to displacement.
It does, directly. Brooklyn, Wynwood,
okay.
etc.
Yes.
Yes.
Now we can one more positive for Jacksonville because somehow we keep bringing it back into the not so great. But I want one more from you of your favorite for Jacksonville, and then we need to tie this back into what's going on with Wynwood.
Oh, another thing from my list. I really appreciate that it's a city that people my age can own successful businesses. So I moved here in my early 30s, and because costs of entry and barriers are so high in other places, you just didn't see 20 and 30-something-year-olds operating successful plant shops and coffee shops and mom and pop shops, and that's not the case in Jacksonville, and that's super exciting. So I love nothing more than spending my money in the small businesses in Jacksonville. So cool.
That's great. So now let's get to displacement.
Now let's talk about displacement and how a mural can directly lead to it. I'm very curious. I'm uneducated here.
Well, it's not the one thing.
Okay.
But murals make...
I'm going to cut you off really
Please
quickly.
do. I want to, because I don't even want to talk about this.
Yeah.
I'll try. Okay. I can start.
Well, because you talked about the artist who takes up an empty storefront and tries to activate it so that it attracts capital and to occupy that space. And so there is a part of that that's very interesting to me where we're using the artist to bring life to a place, and then we attract capital to, I don't know, it sort of changes what made it culturally relevant to begin with, what brought the community to it. And I think Wynwood, with the little that I know, might serve as an example of that, where my understanding is sort of abandoned corridor of Miami. They painted murals everywhere. It activated the space. You had tons of art-based warehouses, parties all the time, and now it's towers going up and Starbucks coming in.
I heard it just
And
get
where
called a
locals won't
corporate
go.
outdoor mall.
Yes.
Ooh,
Yeah, it's rough.
that's bleak.
And is that considered a positive, though?
Well,
By-
depends
by
on who
spi-
you're asking.
Yeah,
That's
by city leaders.
If
it
you
means
spoke
more
to
property
the
tax.
grandmothers that lived in that neighborhood,
Yeah.
that there were documentaries about what ripping apart that family was like, I think that's one perspective. If you speak to those who benefited from that, they are very happy and wealthy for a lifetime.
Right. When you're doing your placemaking, is there what is your thought process to, if this is successful, is the word gentrification, like it will attract the forces of gentrification to maybe take what's special about the work that you did and make it more, for lack of a better word, corporate?
Yeah, it's so interesting. So I gentrified myself out of my own hometown. I could no longer afford the rent when I was done beautifying there. And then when I got to Brooklyn, New York...
So the advice is buy first, then beautify.
I was just going to very that
Yeah,
kind of.
yeah.
Because when I got to Brooklyn, I could not face another displaced grandmother. Like I couldn't do it. And I was running mural programs there. And so I hid from the word gentrification until I was like, that's negligent. I actually have to understand this because I could be a factor or I can be an anti-displacement operation. And so I learned when I dug into it that it's about ownership. And the everyday resident does not understand ownership. And then the everyday resident doesn't understand how the tax base works. Like having a valuable buildings in your downtown is good for your city.
Right.
And so it just made my practice more sophisticated. I'm very, very sensitive to using and abusing the artists, but that's only if you like, hey, this mural will get you exposure. You should throw it up. I have no money to pay you. That's not a good practice. Artists want gigs, and they want to participate in the transformation of their city. So if you can pair those really well and manage expectations out the gate, I think that's a synergy and excitement you're feeling if you talk about placemaking Jax or what we're doing in downtown Jacksonville.
Can you be more concrete for me on how a mural can have some relation to displacement though? And is that because the community's not bought in to what that mural represents?
It's partly that. It's if you have an area that is not been historically invested in and deserves infrastructure and development, like the actual brick and mortar, a developer may need to wait on a project. And so oftentimes to show that there's activity and to create excitement, they will paint the buildings with art. And it makes it perception-wise look like there's stuff that's happening that's improving the value of that community.
But it's not really.
But it's not, and murals are scary. And also...
Wait, what do you mean murals are scary?
Like, it is known now, it's just known that murals lead to gentrification. It's just a thing. It doesn't mean every time you paint a mural, it's going to ruin a community. But it's known in developing cities and cities that it's like a scary thing.
It's an indicator.
It's an indicator because then breweries and coffee shops follow, and that doesn't meet any of the needs of the people that live there.
It's so funny. I mean, it's just like there is a slight humor to just put a mural up and the coffee shops will follow. I mean, I get excited when I see a mural.
I'm sorry I'm not articulating the why because I'm not a developer or an investor.
What you said makes a ton of sense, though.
And then I got out of the game because I saw this happening so much, and my equals who were also managing mural programs, when I did it, I spoke to every resident on the street. I made sure that we're depicting their histories and their legacy. And so it's not meant to be decoration and pretty pictures. If you were going to put in murals and install a mural program, it should uplift the community, which would mean telling their history, their stories. I have so much to say on that. I just don't want to talk about it. It's too tough. Like, that's a whole hour-and-a-half podcast.
We've got 3 hours. Right, Andy?
How does Jacksonville compare from a placemaking perspective? I know you've said this. You want to put down roots here in Jacksonville, and I think we're starting to get an understanding as to why. But how else does Jacksonville compare to some of the other cities where you've run the placemaking programs? Do you feel like we're a bit ahead in any way, shape, or form? We really get it, and we're able to make things happen a little bit faster?
Yes.
It feels like it.
Yes, it is true. I always complain about my budget, but then let me back up for a sec. Every other year or so, now it's 800 now. It used to be 400 of us from around the world get together, and we workshop the issues and resources around placemaking. And when I complain about my budget in that group, they're like, you got way more than us. Wow. But then I came from a place like Michigan, who's putting millions of dollars into placemaking because of what it's done for Detroit, and places like Flint and Grand Rapids. So I'm actually right now creating Venn diagrams to compare our program to other cities like Charlotte and Pittsburgh and LA to start to understand where are we at in a spectrum. And our budget is higher than most cities.
That's great.
But I also work my butt off to raise money for this initiative. And I'm housed in DVI, which has a great reputation. And so I don't quite know where we are at, but I know that the process I do is very unique to Jacksonville, where we have a school that trains and educates people for 6 whole weeks. And then we do an open call for public space ideas that we give permits and funding to. Not many cities have the agility to move that way. Typically, when you write a grant, they want to know the exact outcome. And I have to say, you're investing in the process because we don't know what the residents will come up with. And I've just built such a strong portfolio in different cities, and I built so much trust. The placemaking world is really, really small. So is philanthropy, honestly. And so I just have a really good reputation and am trusted to be a really good steward of the public dollar.
Now, how do people get to go to this school? And correct me if I'm wrong, I believe classes start in November, right?
They do. They're Tuesdays in November and December, except the holidays. We don't charge anything. All of your course materials, all of the food, everything, the textbooks is all included. We have...
What kind of food is going to be there?
Actually, that's so funny you asked that.
It's not funny. It's a
I'm
serious
literally
question.
about to have a conversation with Kady to talk through some food needs.
Yeah, so because of my leadership, how do I word that?
You just did.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm believe in radical hospitality. Nothing makes a resident not feel cared for than a leader, a convener or a leader showing up a couple minutes late with a cold Dunkin' Donuts box and just throws it on the table with some donuts. Like, tell me you don't love me without telling me you don't love me. We are really big on food and bev. So every snack or food and beverage item that comes through our meetings or our school is handmade by neighborhood chefs.
What?
Yeah.
It's cheaper than going to Walmart. No offense to Walmart. Every single...
We can offend Walmart here.
Yeah, but it's like radical hospitality plus economic development.
Okay.
So every snack or meal is handmade by a neighborhood chef.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Okay. Well, my joke question is actually a very good question.
Yeah.
So then when it comes to placemaking, maybe I still need some context setting here.
Yeah.
You're essentially activating people in the community, and they're looking at public spaces that the city of Jacksonville owns, most likely, and they come up with event ideas.
I don't like that word, but yes.
Okay. What's the better word?
Activation.
You're activating the space.
The difference is events are planned by a small group of people in a small room. Activations are lots of people. It's that like cake analogy.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the difference. Events is not
Okay.
placemaking. Placemaking can look like events, but it's not the end game.
But when I say event, I guess I'm thinking it's a singular action.
Thing you can attend. Yes.
Okay. And is that the aim? And that helps that's supposed to replace what a mural could potentially do.
Yes, and I love talking about this. And in terms of the school, so there's 115 seats. We'll open up registration soon. It's just first come, first serve, and it fills up. So that will be live soon. I got out of murals for those reasons I talked about earlier, but I realized I had the decision of how to spend 10 or 100 grand. And I said I can spend 10 grand on a mural, or I can spend 10 grand on teaching this group of 10 people how to get a permit, activate this park, and it ends in a concert or an art market. So I always chose the people route, and that's still where I go today. While currently this iteration of Placemaking Jax is a series of these activations, it's because we only have activation dollars. If we had $1 million budget, you would see us transform physical places and build parks that are talked about around the world. We have a very limited budget, so I always talk about best and highest use. We do participatory budgeting, so we have a group of people that tells us kind of how to spend that money, and every year we reconsider, is it better to put this 150 grand into lighting and seating and electricity, or do you want to do 15 activations at 10 grand? And they always choose the activations. So we're like limited by budget, and I think we'd make decisions differently if we weren't.
What data points are you looking at to make the decision, or is this by gut feel?
Intuition.
All right.
Fully. Yes.
What have been some of the payoffs that you've experienced? There's been some truly positive outcomes that have happened. I know you have them.
Yes, and we would be data-driven if we collected data. That's really a new part of our process. Thanks to the Community Foundation of Northeast Florida and Jesse Ball DuPont Foundation, we have a part-time person who spends their entire 10 or 15 hours a week collecting data.
That's excellent.
And we're looking specifically at self-employment opportunities as an anti-displacement strategy. So we microscopically employ 600 people throughout the fiscal year with those small gigs. Our sound techs, our DJs, our production crews are all getting a few $100s frequently throughout the year. So we're starting to track that. We're also tracking economic activity at our vacant storefronts and our festival market models to see how much in sales is happening around these activities, and then the proximal businesses that exist around it. Are they having a better than typical Tuesday because of the activity or not? So we do start to collect that, and I'm excited for this fall when that group meets. It's called Task Force. It's 80 residents that decide the budget and the projects. I'm excited for them to get a hold of that report and see if it changes their decision making.
Okay.
As far as payoffs, for me, there's nothing more exciting than seeing the resident more confident, more emotionally attached, and more frequently visiting downtown Jacksonville because of going through the program. It's the same way we build up with brick and mortars. We want really beautiful buildings. That's what's happening inside of the people that we work with. So I just see their confidence change. I see their risk-taking increase. They're starting businesses and doing activations outside of what they do with us. A handful is doing it full time now, running their own venue. So when you say payoffs, it's not like 6,000 artists have mural companies, but just one having a mural company.
That is
great.
huge, yeah.
How many cohorts have you had so far?
So we do 100 students through the school every year. We've done that 3 years.
Okay.
Of that 100, even though it's open to the public, anyone can apply, we train up to 15 teams annually.
Wow.
So
What's the distinction here?
we do an open call.
Okay.
I always say you're going to have an unfair advantage if you went to school, because I'm going to teach you everything in school to give you an unfair advantage. But you don't have to go to school to apply.
Okay.
We have teams this year that never even got into a classroom with me that won that process.
Okay.
The winners, we do 10 to 15 a year. So there's been about almost 40 teams that have deeply involved themselves with how I placemake and the process we administer at Downtown Vision. And it's not like almost 40 people, it's 40 teams. So their teams are typically like 2 to 5 people. It's like 150 expert placemakers running around Jacksonville now.
That's excellent.
Yes.
That's a good number.
It is a good number because grants force you to think max attendance is max success or servicing the most number of people. We just want really high quality producers at the end of it. So even if we do 10, 15 a year, in 10 years, we'll be in really good shape.
What's been your favorite activation?
I'm not allowed to have favorites.
You're not?
I mean, it's,
Well, what? Okay,
who's
how
your
about
favorite
this?
child? It's
Okay.
definitely Billy, but Sarah can't hear that.
Okay, so not favorite. What's had the deepest impact on you?
That's still so personal.
I think that was
You
personal.
were sitting here when I was secretly talking right in front of your face behind your back about digging in.
Personal, that's
This
fair.
is now what's happening.
Man, there's so many good stories. Literally keep saying almost 40 because I think the number is 36. All 36 of those teams have had success. My favorites have been seeing Larry Love, Candace Nicole Clark, Chef Onyx and Chef Naps really master the process. And I even joke that they get it better than I do. Candace Nicole.
But we're just joking. You were just joking.
I'm like, y'all. But if you do mission-driven work, you should work yourself out of a job. Yeah. So I'm like, this is making sense. Just make a new position for me, please. Candace Nicole Clark is a local curator. She started the Black Opal Art Experience, or the Opal Art Experience and Black Mural Map over a decade ago. She just won a Cultural Council Award, and she was producing all of that independently. So for us to give her a $5,000 grant and see her just like blow up, what feels like overnight, but in the past 4 years has been one of my favorite things to watch, because she's like in the art world. Her and her husband are like amongst the king and queens of art royalty. Chris Clark is her husband, who is a nationally acclaimed visual artist who's right here in Jacksonville. And they're always painting the streets together, traveling together, and they're just icons in the art world. And to get to like call them colleagues and work with them so
Yeah, it's pretty
intimately
special.
is like, and so I have 40 of those stories.
Yeah.
To see the chefs that came in and did long table dinners before they've gone viral on the internet here in Jacksonville that sell out in 20 minutes, and go from, a comfortable kitchen to like setting up in a bug-filled field, and see them thrive and not complain is seriously a payoff and very rewarding. And so we're like pressuring creativity here in Jacksonville. And that's a great job to have.
That's awesome.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
What are you thinking?
I'm just thinking about.
He's got something going on in his head.
I was thinking about your childhood.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
That was him, not me.
You can see me stomping around like pretending to be mayor. You can see it, right? I'm in charge. And we're cleaning this place up. This looks like trash.
Well, just because of your TEDx talk.
Yeah.
So yeah. So help me correlate better your experiences as a kid or teenager, because you started an art collective. That was sort of
Quarter Yellow.
Yeah.
Yes, because I was. Oh my God, it's so.
You
crass.
named it. I just realized you named it after yourself.
No, I named myself after it.
Oh, so your last. Oh, that makes more sense. Yeah. Okay, I thought it was
named
just a very.
myself after
Okay,
it.
got it. Okay.
Man, it was just such an unusual time. It's just, I can't help but not talk about it like really grungy and crass because it just was. It was not glamorous. I just happened to get keys to a glamorous gallery and I transferred that benefit. I grew up what they used to call low income at risk, which was a horrible label that you were never going to be successful. And I was always confused. I'm like, I'm not those things, but I get why they said that. Now they say opportunity youth, which is really cool. And because I lacked like structured home spaces, I just was always outside. I found the streets really interesting. And like I talk now about.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
What is?
Do it.
You're very good at euphemisms. What is structured
Home life?
Structured home
Like
life?
when parents were alive, they did their best to provide a home, but the home was not the best.
Okay.
So like I said, there were times I grew up, like we didn't have water and electricity. That's not a good home life.
Yeah.
Or like at point when my mom was alive, she made maybe like 15 or 20 grand a year back then, which the poverty line was 15 for I think a single person, and there was a lot of us in the house. So it's just like
6 sisters.
Yeah, you're not
we never
having,
lived together, but there wasn't just one person in the house, and there would be visitors.
Okay.
So it was
and
just
there's no structure in that.
Yeah.
You have 3 kids, I mean, I know you try to have structure with
I mean, we let them
that,
sleep
but
on the porch, but yes.
they're going to do great.
yeah, there's
I mean, your evidence.
They're going to do great. So I was just always craving a better environment is really what it came down to. And I thought I could get that outside because I was comfortable outside.
But what gave you that
Comfort?
What gave you that audacious tenacity to go, I can make my structures better versus feeling overwhelmed by the lack of them?
I think, I don't want to get religious, but I think some people are chosen and have a higher calling.
But others are not.
We're all God's children.
She's looking at me. Others are not.
No, I'm thinking about my sisters.
especially you.
I'm thinking about my sisters because I have like a set of data of comparables. But I just always had this. It's so simple. I don't want to be like that.
Okay.
I don't want that. So whatever's not that, I'm going to go after it. And obviously fell on my face a lot and just had a lot of rough times.
That's how you learn.
But it's how you learn. That's why I want the path of most resistance now.
Right.
But I spent a lot of time outside, and I say the same thing now. The streets do need organization. People do need leadership outside. And so I always say there's like an HR in the streets in Jacksonville or the word of the street.
I met that guy because I was at the beach once and I met a guy who was unhoused and he told me he was the mayor of the boardwalk.
I bet.
And he told me where I was supposed to sit.
Exactly.
And where I could not sit.
Exactly. Okay. So I did that as a little girl.
So you were
and I noticed really right away, it's like, I don't know if you learn in college, if you have a clipboard, people take you with more authority.
That's how I sneak into all my places.
So as soon as I was like, people are listening to me, it just blew my mind. So I just pushed that the last 20 years.
You and Jen should get along
I
very
need a
well.
clipboard.
Yes. So that's kind of how.
So you just sort of started making declarative statements and people said, okay.
Yes, and at that time, it was a small main street, a Cord Street that still exists today, and it was just vacant and abandoned. And that learning to paint things and make them more beautiful, sweep around your front porch quite literally. And I was just friends with all the, is it vagabond or it's vagrant? That's not the word. Just like In New Orleans, we call them crusties. It's a horrible term. But just we're like
Just the peoples.
gross little
Hanging
teenagers.
around. Okay.
Yes, with too much talent.
Okay.
And I wanted to put that talent in one place. So I got that beautiful gallery space in downtown Binghamton
But how?
at no cost. Literally saw it.
And how old were you?
Let me
at
guess.
the time?
It's just asking the question.
Yeah,
right?
I was a teenager. I was like 16 or 17. I literally, there's a piece of paper that said for rent. I ripped it off the building. I asked all night who the owner was. I finally found him and I threw it at him. I said, "You don't need this anymore." And he's like, "What?" I'm like, "I want this space. I don't care what it costs." And I think he appreciated that. And he was a wealthy man. So he's like, "Okay, cool. I need someone to babysit my gallery. Like, you're perfect." And it was just a really beautiful space. And so I started Kady Yellow with my college friend, Minu. And our only stipulation was you could have never shown your work, because we knew that there were lots of artists in the area that had already shown in galleries and stuff and would really want that gallery because it was so beautiful. And we gave the baton we closed that door and we started doing shows every month. And it blew up for us. It blew up for us.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
So that's how we got into it. I was just organizing artists, also doing mural programs. There's a little stage that was built in our riverfront plaza.
Where is this? What city?
Binghamton, New York, in
Okay,
upstate,
okay.
where the university
How
is.
close is that to where you lived?
Other side of the state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 or 4
I was
hours
on
away.
the east side of New York along the Hudson River. So yeah, I'd say probably take 4 hours to get there.
But then we did audacious things. Like I had artist friends in Newburgh who heard about me, and we decided to bridge the 2 cities, and that we were going to put these 2 cities on the map for art, which is like so silly.
But that's
Why is it silly?
That is the beauty of youth, I think. It's just like
Yeah.
ridiculous vision that maybe
Exactly.
things happen.
No
Yeah.
fear.
Yeah.
Anything's possible.
Now, as an old man, you're like, no, it's not possible. No, we can't do it. No, it's
No,
not
Kady doesn't
practical.
think like that now.
Ever.
Everything is still possible.
No, you had talked in the intro about living in the future.
Yeah.
And I've always talked about imagination, just because of Einstein, repping it so hard. But we've always had to see what's not there and be like violently adamant in our pursuit of
Is
it.
this what it feels like to be chosen for the both of you guys?
Yes.
Like instead of walk.
Yes. That's later this afternoon. I go for my afternoon float.
Can you guys put in a good word for me, please?
No.
I can pray over you.
Thanks. Thank you. I'll take it. I'll take
You gotta
it.
live righteous though.
That's
You
right.
can do a little
Well,
bit of the work. You gotta do the
Okay,
rest.
well, I won't swear anymore.
Thank
I
you.
promise.
Exactly.
He's going to break that promise. You shouldn't make promises you can't keep.
But yeah, that was the roots of it. That
Not
was the
swearing
roots.
anymore?
See, that's a really nice story.
It's
And it's
sweet.
inspirational.
No,
you
but
should not be afraid to
There
get
is
into
more
that
grit
stuff.
to this
It's
that I
just
don't.
emotional. It's really tough.
Yeah.
We did it as an outlet.
Yeah.
Thank God we didn't get into drugs instead. We got into
Yeah.
art.
But that's why you do this, because you're helping to prevent the youth today getting into drugs, getting into gang-related activities, and giving them a place that they can go to. When you're talking to the community, you've got to be factoring in, especially for communities where there are kids, what is necessary to make this a better place and make this a community-centric place.
Yes. And it's not just kids, it's adults. People in general lack purpose. I'm like, I'm just reminding them or enlightening them to what their purpose is. Everyone wants to help people.
Everybody
They do.
does.
They just don't know how or where to get started or what their version of that means.
Yep, agree.
yeah.
There's so much friction in the process. So I need to understand what's next, since you do live in the future. You have already predicted, you have already saw the vision, I know. And maybe even it's just a teaser. If you can't talk about it, we totally understand. But there's got to be some major things that you have, that you're hoping for, that you're trying to manifest right now.
You wouldn't believe it, but the answer is no. I just am a short-sighted thinker because of how I was raised. I just never got that muscle to think long term. I'm challenging myself now to do it or surround myself with people who can do it for me, because I want to know what placemaking Jax and placemaking in downtown looks like in 5 or 10 years. Because I can't predict the future. I just know that if you do every day really well, the future will be fine. And also, there's something really beautiful about being in maintenance mode. So when you finally figure something out in its best form, doing it a little bit longer, and that's where I'm actually at. So with the school, I was going to shake it up this year and get rid of it. And the community was like, absolutely not. Yeah, absolutely not. I was like, okay, I have to listen to you. You know that. So I'll shake it up. We'll do half lecture and half field work. We'll go out in the field together. So that's the shake up this year.
Okay, nice.
And that's going to lead to different outcomes.
It will.
I'm going to run a similar open call process. I wanted to get rid of that and get more into I choose and curate based on these 40 or so people that are 40 or so teams that are trained. But philanthropy loves the open call. Our funders, they love that open call. So there's not really much changing. We have a very good model and we want to run that another year. I think when you talked about getting in the room with the higher ups and that meeting I've been preparing for, I want to get that right. And I want placemaking to be a strategy in the development instead of, oh, Kady can take care of that until the tenant comes. I don't want that to be the conversation. I want to say, can any of these spaces be given to Kady in Downtown Vision longer term? Or, that's just like a small sound clip of what I hope for. I pray that our budget increases. And so since our district is growing, we're funded off a tax assessment. So if the value of the buildings grows, our budget grows. I pray that some of that gets reinvested into placemaking and activations. But there's like no crazy secrets or long-term thing coming.
We have one. I think that's exciting.
Yeah, it
We
is.
have a lot in this city, and I am probably part of the problem when I complain about how bad
Typically.
traffic has gotten and all of the people who have moved here.
traffic is
I
terrible.
sound like a local now going, no
Stop
more people
it.
should move here.
Stop.
I know.
I think
I'm
It's not
admitting.
terrible. We just
I know.
have
just build more roads. So
not even do that. I was going to comment on public transportation, but that's not even
Oh.
right to do. That's not right.
Don't get me started.
Those are my
I'll be
colleagues.
back on that flying car.
Jacksonville's great.
All right, last thing. Let's end on your favorite place to eat, please.
Didn't we?
We haven't talked about Kady's favorite place.
My favorite place to eat.
You've got to have a favorite. It's the most comfort
Please say
foodie.
Applebee's. Please say like a franchise. Just give us
Olive
the
Garden,
most basic.
Taco Bell.
Denny's. Just give us a Denny's.
That's horrible.
You know, a lot of people feel Waffle House. Waffle House.
that's not.
Oh my God.
They don't count as a franchise. They're
They
just,
do. That doesn't count as your favorite place.
Yeah.
It has
Oh,
to be.
you guys, I
not-
just realized where Peppolino's was. It's my favorite Italian joint in New York
oh,
City.
it's so funny.
Somehow I transported it
Got it.
down
Okay.
here.
That's the future. Bring it in.
I saw it. Though. I saw it sitting on the front porch
I think
because
you
it's
got-
a front porch.
I think you got Persepolis and Peppolino's confused, maybe.
Yeah, but Persepolis is amazing.
It is really good.
It's one of my favorites. Anyway, yes, I need to know
She's looking them up right
if
now.
you had your last meal, where
Oh
would
my
it
God, I
be?
just had this conversation. Isn't that horrible?
We all like to doomsday a little bit
It was.
about our demise. But why is it a last meal? That's a whole sepeate topic.
Well, we were talking.
Wait, are we talking last meal? I zoned out. What were we talking about?
Well, she doesn't like to
We were
pick
like death
favorites.
sentence. What's your
Yeah.
last meal? And we're like, whoa. It got weird. Someone came over like, why are you guys talking about that? And it don't even because you don't necessarily go for your favorite meal. You go for something you wouldn't normally eat because you're like, F it.
Well, because
Oh, that's-
money is
Isn't that-
usually no object.
Isn't that weird?
For your last meal?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I went with
I
pizza.
go with nostalgia. It's going to be something my mom cooks. She'll have to,
Aw.
you know?
Okay.
Did you find it?
Yes.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
Because I don't know how to pronounce it, and I can only get there. I don't know the name of it, which
Oh,
is
this
embarrassing.
is so exciting.
No,
is.
that's actually adorable. I think that's great.
Okay. It is. Do you guys want to pronounce it? So, first of all, when you walk up to it, it looks closed, which is always a sign of an incredible restaurant.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you know how to pronounce that?
Gangnam Korean?
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh.
Where is
Where
it?
is it?
I think it's off Beach Boulevard.
I feel like I just saw
is that
people
next to-
talking
is that
about
by
this.
the-
Grand Parada, which is my other favorite.
Is that by World Market? The it's in a strip mall.
A small one, but I don't pay attention to my environment. I just beeline for that restaurant.
It's its own little restaurant, right?
It's not in the St. John's
I've been
Town
there-
Center. No, it's.
I've been there once.
Okay.
It's really
Oh,
good.
really?
Yeah.
I
It's
don't
been a
know
long
why that blew
time.
my mind. I wanted to share that I don't eat out a lot because I'm a broke millennial. So I'm like, my kitchen's my favorite place. When Chef Onyx or Chef Naps comes over and cooks. No, that if I go out to eat is
Okay.
where I would.
I'm
That's where you would want to go.
hungry right
All
now.
Then
right.
there's an
I'm
incredible scene
prioritizing
with
that.
Othello and Josephine's and the restaurants that are opening up.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Katie.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
new food is coming to Jacksonville. I'm excited about the non-chain restaurants that are coming.
And some of the discussion around the CIA. That's really interesting.
That's fascinating. That's for a whole new episode.
Okay.
Rush is like, I'm along
Yeah.
for the ride.
Yeah. Is that a wrap?
It can be.
We can talk about on our next episode, not this one.
Yeah.
A Downtown Vision called the cops on me about 2 to 3 different times.
Sounds like you deserve.
No.
She's got to know enough of you.
You definitely did.
Oh, I heard about this.
And it was because all right, I'm gonna
Do
get
it.
All right.
Do
all right,
it.
So this is our last story.
Why didn't you lead with this?
Downtown Vision many years ago. Do you remember when the buy gold commercials were everywhere? Do you remember that era? It was like 10, 20,
I don't
30,
watch
50.
TV. It's embarrassing.
It was everywhere.
I'm sure it was.
We'll buy your gold. And so my friend and I, we got dressed up in painter's gear, like so white schmucks or whatever you call them. And we would dress up and we would take a corner during art walks. Do you know this story? You're nodding your head. Okay.
No, I just love art
They've
walk.
talked
Okay.
about it
Okay.
in the office.
No, but I'm about to.
Yeah.
Who just call the office? I'll put you on speaker.
After this podcast, I'll tell you who called the cops on me specifically.
They're no longer with us.
They're no longer with you. And so we would throw down like a blanket or something, and we would spray paint random objects gold. So people would come up to us, and we would spray paint their dirty, stupid, random object gold, and it would look nice and shiny. And that was our shtick. That was our performance art. Wow. And art walk people hated that. They hated it. So they called the cops on us multiple times. I went and got looked at the regulations. I was like, I have a right to be here.
Of course you did.
And then I just stopped doing it. So they won ultimately. But Downtown Vision called.
They asked you to move, right? Leave the.
Yeah, but I think
Do you know what the problem was?
What?
I'm asking you, what was the problem?
I think the person in particular just hated that we were spray painting. And maybe it's a smelly, toxic thing that you're doing. And we tried to keep it a little bit away from like the Hemming. It's not called Hemming Plaza anymore. But that was that time.
Oh, there she connected some dots.
Did you connect some dots?
No, I just can't wait to know who it is.
Okay. After the
All right,
podcast.
we must wrap
Yeah.
then so we can gossip.
Katie, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. I hope
was
it
great.
was
It was incredible.
interesting. There's
Yes.
depth to it. I shared some personal stuff.
Yeah,
Thank
and you have
you.
a song. Actually, you have a song written about you.
I do. It was a gift.
And you
Isn't
wrote
that weird?
and you wrote a book.
That's a wonderful
It's
gift.
just so strange, but it's a really beautiful song.
Yeah.
And I wrote a book about the topic.
What's your book called?
Graffiti, Mural, and Street Art, Volume 1. Because I used to be obsessed. I used to teach undergraduate art history classes, and I'm really interested in teaching people the difference between those three art forms, the history that's different between those three art forms, and so I wrote a book about it.
Oh,
Would I
that's
find it on Amazon? Where would I find it?
No, you're going to find it on my website.
Okay,
And it's
okay.
expensive because I pretty
Just-
much print
yeah,
the thing and ship it to you.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
And I also, when I was teaching at the time, I only had a bachelor's, and all my colleagues had masters and wrote books, and were like, "You have to."
Yes.
Okay, I'll go do it,
And you did.
and I did. And
All
then
right.
See, you can do anything.
you can't do anything.
All right. Thank you, Katie.
Thank you, Katie. Well, Arash, did you learn something?
I
Who was the
learned.
person?